Hi, everybody. So, my name is Dave Pickett. I am a Lego animator and filmmaker, and I'm going to be talking today about how I turned my Lego hobby into a YouTube business, because that's an interesting topic that most people probably don't know much about, and I thought you would all enjoy it. So I have an interesting job. I make things out of Lego, and then I put them on the internet, and that's my job. I built The Simpsons out of Lego. I made a video about how to build them. It has 1.6 million views to date, making it, a good video, but not one of my best. And that's my job. So I run the YouTube channel Brick 101. It looks a little bit like this. There are animations on there, set reviews. I also review non-Lego building toys. Sorry, purists in the room, but I'll explain the business reasons later. And then I do a lot of custom creations like The Simpsons and show building instructions for them. I also do role plays and I had a weird phase where I did a lot of Mario Maker videos, but that's over now. Anyway, you can see my YouTube channel, Brick 101. I have little flyers. If you come see me throughout the con, I can give you one, and things like that. But yeah, so that's my job. Many of you here build mocks, right, and display them. So when the public comes, you get like the same 4 questions over and over again, right? Say them with me. Did Lego make this? How many pieces? How long did it take? Are there instructions, right? Did I miss anything? That's basically it. Yeah. Is it glued? Okay. Yeah. Oh, can I buy it? That's a good one too. So yeah, we all know these questions, right? And you're bored of answering them. They're not that interesting. So when I tell people that, my job is putting Lego videos on the internet, they say, are you a Lego employee? How do you make money? How did you do it? And are you hiring? So those are like my 4 equivalent questions. The answers to those are no, I am not a Lego employee. Ads is how I make money. How did I do it? A lot of trial and error. And I am not hiring, unfortunately. The end. All right, so thank you all for coming. And I hope you really enjoyed this presentation. So to go into a little more detail, it's a really good question. How do I make money, right? Because for most people, this is what you see, the South Park Underpants Gnomes version of a business plan. Make Lego videos, question mark, profit, right? So we'll get back to that. We'll fill that in. So the other question is, how did it happen? So how did that, adorable little toddler grow into a minor internet celebrity without ever actually having any formal training in any of the things that are now his job? So if we go back in time, like, we can go back to approximately 1989. So I would have been about 4 at the time. And I was really lucky in that I was born into a house with older siblings who were already into Lego. So by the time I was born, they were 7 and 9 years old, into classic space, classic castle. So I was born into a Lego household. So when people say, like, what was your first Lego set? It's like asking me, like, what was your first crayon? Like, I don't know. There was a lot all the time. But one set that I do remember, like from a very young age, was this Pirates Forbidden Island set. I mean, the base plate is amazing. It's this little island. It even has dots on where you need to put some of the first bricks. It's got lots of great play features. So that was like a really important part of my childhood. I'm going to get a drink of water one quick second, but let's all look at the amazing design of Forbidden Island. It has a shark, it has a monkey, it has a parrot, it has a prison, it has a drawbridge, stairs, a cannon. Beyond that, like, I was also the kind of kid that took his toys apart. Because Lego was what I learned first and foremost. I took all my toys apart. And what was great is that my parents encouraged me to do that. So when I would get like a toy from McDonald's and it had like a weird screw with a triangle head, which is not a type of screw that you normally get, they helped me figure out how to unscrew it with like a pair of scissors so that I could take my toys apart and see how they worked. So that was just like, I took the Lego philosophy and applied it to everything in my life. Other things that were happening in my life that were important at the time, Super Mario Brothers 2. Obviously, you always play as Peach because she can float. But this was the height of technology at the time, and the fact that you could manipulate what was on your TV screen was still kind of a new, cool thing. And the graphics weren't great, but it was awesome. Also, the height of entertainment was I was born right into the golden era of like Disney films. So The Little Mermaid VHS tape would have been a fixture of my childhood. And then, you've got Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, like the few years after that. Like, that's an amazing way to start your childhood. So that's just kind of like the technological situation I was born into, because like, I think people, especially younger than me, take for granted that like computers weren't even a thing until very recently. So here's another random thing that happened, is that when I was 5 years old, I was given an IQ test in kindergarten, and because of that, I was placed into a gifted education track at my public school where I got access to computer programming, and these are like Apple G2 computer programming classes, art history, drama, all these extra classes that I got to take with like this other group of people who were in this program. So I had like an amazing world-class education at a public school, which I know we don't really talk about public schools like that, but I just was, my parents, when I was 5, my dad got a new job, and they picked a town with the best school district in the entire state of Pennsylvania, and my dad drove an hour to and from work each day, basically so that I could have an amazing education. And like that is like an amazing thing that my parents did for me, and I'm not going to like go into depth on everything that ever happened in my life, but just to say that like I had so many educational opportunities, and like I can't even say how much they affected me. But a really important turning stone in my life was at the age of 8. So we're going a little ahead now. Is that my family got a video camera? I know because there is this classic footage of me getting another pirate set. It was the little raft with the sail. This is probably 1992-3, so those of you in the audience with brick set in your head can figure out what set it is. But so again, people didn't have video cameras at the time. Not everybody just had one, in their pocket at all times. So it was a big ass thing. A big thing, sorry, you can edit out the curse there, that you had to put a VHS tape into, which was massive, and it was grainy, and you couldn't do a lot because all you could do was play it on a VCR. It's not like you could edit, so you would have to film everything in the order you wanted it to happen and do the on-screen, in-camera transitions where it would like fade slowly. And I, of course, used that and Lego, which was my everything, to make Lego movies. I don't have any actual footage of movies from that time, but they looked a little bit like this. You're not going to hear any sound here, but this is me as an adult actually just playing with Lego on camera and making random noises. But I wasn't animating when I was a kid. I was just puppeting them on the camera because that was all I knew how to do. And if you can hear this, it's me going, "Rawr," when Bowser's on screen. But you don't need the sound to appreciate that. So I just like to point out that even when I started making movies, it wasn't like I was animating from day one, because I didn't know that was a thing. But I told a lot of stories. Most of them were Power Rangers ripoffs. Lego is such a natural storytelling medium in addition to a building medium. So telling stories was a really natural thing for me. So I captured those on camera. Around this time, one of my big sets that I got was Sand Dollar Cafe, because again, that was an amazing base plate, and it had ice cream truck. We didn't even have the ice cream piece yet. but just like the idea of ice cream was so exciting to me, as well as like the ketchup and mustard things in the little cafe. So anyway, that's just a little where my mind was at from Lego. I also had this amazing computer program called KidPix, which was basically like proto-Photoshop, but also it made weird noises. So it was super fun. I also played a lot of educational software, so like all of the Super Solvers mysteries, like where they would teach you reading and mechanics, because that was the weird kind of kid I was, that I played educational games and that my parents bought me a lot, and that we also had a personal computer at home. So these, again, just like the amount of technology I had as a kid that I was having access to and just playing around, making random little animations and things like that, this is all what kind of led into my career, though I didn't learn any of it in school. One thing I did learn in school was about The Stinky Cheese Man and Other Fairly Stupid Tales, which is like one of the best books ever written, just period. And it totally defined my sense of humor. If you've read this book and you know my work, it just makes sense. Also Freakazoid, the TV show. Also, there was this show on Nickelodeon called The Tomorrow People, which was a British import, which meant that there were 5 episodes per season, but they actually had like a story arc, which nothing at the time had a story arc, but they also aired at weird-ass times, and you couldn't find them, right? Because like if you didn't see a show when it happened, it was gone forever. So this forced me to learn how to program a VCR. And let me tell you, if you know how to program a VCR, you can figure out any computer, any smartphone, because the VCR interface is the worst interface ever invented. So these are the kind of things that forced me to become like a technology expert just because I needed to watch this show. And kids have so much free time, and they have so little control over their lives that anything like this, that is why they know your tablet better than you do, because this is one of the few things that they can control and have access to. And I know there's all these things about screen time, but I got so much out of being able to explore the virtual and technical aspects that I had access to as a kid. So that's just to say that. All right, skipping forward, age 13, we have America Online, and we have the start of the online Lego community with rec.toys.lego, the news group. Who was there? Who was there? I was there as a 13-year-old kid. I was an original internet TFL, talking with adults about Lego and being like, oh, wow, like, there are other people out here. And then I went to Fibblesnork, which had an online database of Lego sets. Again, marvel at this 1990s era web design. And remember, like, you didn't just always have like Instagram or Brickset or all these wonderful things, but it was great to just be able to express myself and see that there were other people at this and like hear that there was like a Lego store somewhere in the world. I think the only one then was at Disney World, if I'm right, but like, and Mall of America. That was before they were everywhere. And it's like, oh my God, a store just for Lego. You know? We take that for granted now, but like that, like just knowing at that time that it was okay really helped me not have a dark age. I had kind of like a dim age where I just like wasn't as into it, but I still was playing with it. But then I discovered like, oh, you know, I'd been making those movies and I discovered the idea of animating. So then any school project I could possibly do it for, I made a little Lego animation. And that was my way of justifying my collection of Lego, is that it was for arts. When we all know it was just because Lego is awesome. So this is one of my earliest animations. It is super jerky. It's just a king and a queen walking across. This is part of the play within the play from Hamlet, because again, this was a school project. So anywhere I could and the teacher would allow it, I just did things that weren't allowed. Like that KidPix program, I used that to create like a book for a class rather than doing it by hand. So anywhere I could use digital technology and the teacher let me, I just did a project. So, you know, I would encourage you, if you're like having to do school projects that aren't fun, see if you can do it in a more fun way and use something that is new and that other people in the class might not be doing because the teacher doesn't even know what it is. because if you've got great teachers like I've had, they will let you. So this is like high school, college era me now. We're getting a little more like the internet exists. People are starting to upload like MOV files of brick films. So this is brick films circa like 2001, brickfilms.com. Don't go to brickfilms.com today. It is terrible. The good part of that community moved to bricksinmotion.com, and there's a whole history of like a Lego community schism that happened there that most of you don't know about because brick filmers are just not well integrated into the rest of the AFOL community, but there are people on the internet who will watch this and be like, oh, the schism. I mean, you all know like internet drama, right? Yeah, okay. So there was some internet drama. But some of the films that were on there back in the day were the ones by Spite Your Face. They did the Monty Python film. They did a Han Solo film, a Spider-Man, some of the earliest like official Lego animations. But again, you had to like download QuickTime and the files wouldn't play. And that was, again, the height of technology at the time. So I made a 45-minute Lego animation as my second Lego animation ever that mashed together all these different plays and things I had been reading. And it's a total incoherent mess. It's still on YouTube on my old channel. But that was what I was doing in high school and into college. And I was really lucky when I went to college that there was an amazing filmmaking group there. I ended up studying biology just because. I've never done anything with that degree. But everyone in my family had gone to college for one thing and done something totally different. So I didn't have this feeling or expectation that it was going to have to prepare me for a career because nobody else had done that. But I spent a lot of my free time making weird Lego films like this. I also was experimenting with other forms, so like flash animation, which again was the height of the technology. So this is a school project about lung cancer I did with Mr. Lung in flash animation. And this is Mrs. Lung, who's going to demonstrate everything, and she's about to get eaten by tumors. And that is a project I made for school. I also led a bunch of other students in making films when I was in college, and we always did stop motion, so this one was called Food Fight and had junk food fighting healthy food. So we had the pull and peel Twizzlers tearing apart Brussels sprouts. Oh, and then the chocolate raisins were actually healthy food in disguise, so then the raisins break out of the chocolate and kill the Twizzlers, so it's a twist. Also around this time, I uploaded my very first video to YouTube. This was 2007. This is a little Mario animation. You may notice, like, Mario doesn't have the exact right costume. It's blue. And it shouldn't be blue, right? You all know that. That's not Mario's costume. One, like, you know, those were the overalls that we had in Lego. And two, this was actually part of that 45-minute film. And so it was a totally character that wasn't Mario, and this was just like a weird reference, but it's like, oh, let me just cut this out and upload it to YouTube, because you could only upload 5-minute videos at that time. Maybe 15 if you got like a special extra thing. Now you can upload hours and hours to YouTube, but back then it was only 5, so it's like, oh, I'll just do this bit. So I uploaded that video to YouTube on my original YouTube channel, Fallen Tomato, which means nothing to anybody. But you know, that was the type of username we had back in the day. And it got 400,000 views. And that is because it was 2007 and there was nothing on YouTube yet. And so a pretty terrible Lego Mario animation, as opposed to like the beautiful ones that there are just a bajillion of now on YouTube, got featured on the front page of YouTube. And I was like, oh, who the hell are these 100,000 people watching my video? But also, that's cool. So I had this YouTube channel for a while, and it was a bunch of random stuff. It was like the lung video I just showed you. It was that. So it wasn't even super focused on Lego. It was just like any film I had, I put up there. You couldn't make money on YouTube yet, so I didn't even know that was a possible career. The one thing I did know was Homestar Runner. Again, awesome Flash animation from the early 2000s. And it was just a fun cast of characters. They did funny videos. And like on their about, they're like, oh yeah, this is our full-time job now. We like, sell DVDs and merchandise. And I was like, wait a minute. Make Lego videos, sell DVDs and t-shirts, profit, right? Like now I had a business plan. So then I went back. So I had just graduated college, and I was really lucky that I graduated in 2007 and not a year later, because that's when the recession happened. And so all my younger friends couldn't get jobs, but I did get a job doing video production at the University of Chicago. And I did that for 5 years, and then I did social media and website development and digital marketing for 5 years. So I had a 10-year career of full-time work doing that while I did all the YouTube stuff on the side, because I never wanted to be a starving artist. I was like, I want healthcare and benefits. So I got a full-time job and just had this a side passion. But in my side hustle, I thought about like what kind of content would make sense on YouTube if I wanted to sell DVDs and t-shirts. So I came up with this new channel called Nightly News at 9. Who here has seen the Nightly News at 9? Few people. It's a story. There's like 6 different characters. Different things happen to them. It's all told through the lens of a news show. And it was a lot of fun. I started writing it in 2006. The first episode premiered in 2009 because it was a side gig, and I had a script writing circle that I was working on the scripts with. I had to build all the sets. Animation takes a long time. But in 2010, I went to Brick World Chicago and sold my DVDs there, made my very first $1. I was an official business at that point, a sole proprietorship. I did not make any profit. I made money, revenue, but the cost of all the things versus what I sold was not great. But it was a really great experience, and my then boyfriend, now husband, was with me at the time, and he had a background in marketing, and this was how I started. Hi, this is my DVD. Would you like to buy it? It's really cool. And so he taught me the concept of an elevator pitch, and then I'd be like, hey, everybody, this is my 30-minute kid-friendly DVD. Hey, Grandma, you've got money. You want to buy this? Really worked from the beginning, and worked on getting business cards and flyers. And I've been at Brick World Chicago every single year it's existed, and have almost always had a table since 2010, and do outreach every year just to meet new people, because there's always new people who I know are interested in Lego, to tell them about what I'm doing. So that's been like a really core piece of my marketing strategy, has just been coming to events like this and reaching out to other people here and the public. But when you show a brick film, much like when you show a mock, there are 4 questions you get. Did Lego make this? How many pictures is it, as opposed to pieces? How long did it take? And are there instructions? And so people didn't even know what my DVD was after I explained it to them. And it's hard. Like, if it's not a show you already know and love, you're not going to buy the DVD. So the DVD sales didn't really go as I hoped. And then my camera got stolen. So I started a Kickstarter project for the second DVD and raised $3,000, which was a lot of money to me at the time. It helped me buy a camera. And as I was doing the Kickstarter, I was like, okay, it takes me a month or 2 to get a single 5-minute video done for my channel. And I need to promote this thing within 30 days and get a lot of people paying attention to. I need some other kind of video. So I came up with a how to build video, because I had these little robots in my thing. They're called pinch bots, and people asked me, how did you build that? So I just did a quick video. It was just on my desk. I have now done over 250 different how to build videos. So this one video that I did one time ended up leading to the whole financial backbone of my business, and it was just something I just tried randomly once. T-shirt sales never worked out, but I also was like, okay, well, I've got the characters. Let me try figures. Oh, this is also a then photo of me at Lego conventions. This was the one T-shirt design I ever came up with, which was based on the character. But again, if you don't know the character, and also it's hand-drawn and looks kind of weird, nobody ever bought this aside from me. You bought one? You have one. Okay, 2 people bought this T-shirt. Marianne and me. T-shirt sales didn't really pan out, but I did go on Bricklink and buy like every copy of that old school dragon and the white shark, which are both rare pieces, not the thing you want to put in your cast if you want to mass produce them. Also, Sherry Tiles has an old school town torso, so does Phil Brickley. Like all the pieces are old, so this was like the most I was ever able to produce at once, and that took a lot of Bricklink orders, mostly from Europe, because that's where all the old stuff is, you all know. And then I did have Citizen Brick custom print the I Heart Evil torsos, so that's why I was able to make so many of Malefios there. And I also had to hand paint all of those dragons to make them silver and wonderful, because that was the character. The pinch bots were a lot easier to mass produce. I did over 100 of them at once because they were all just pieces, and I would switch out the 1x2 tile on the front. They weren't all the same Spirius tile that I originally used. That was easy to switch out. And those were actually one of the most profitable things I ever did, because I could sell them for about $5, but they only cost about like $1 in parts. I also tried to do custom kits. So these were robots that were in the second one, but again, like this duck robot is on screen for like 5 seconds. So I don't know why I thought people would really want to buy it. It's not even that interesting of a design. And it takes forever to make actual instructions. I don't know how many people have done that. It's really hard. It's much easier to just like do a video like, here, I just built it. But actually formatting them to look good is really hard. And what I did is I took 4 different sets that were available at the time that were about $10, and I only used the pieces from that set to design one character, so I knew I could just buy multiple copies of that set, so I wouldn't run into the Bricklink sourcing problem. But they still didn't sell very well. So this is a look at my revenue versus profit from 2010 to 2013. It's not terrible. I mean, the red line, you see, starts below 0, because I lost money the first year. Second year, it was perfect write-off with the amount I was allowed to deduce. I think I made technically $300 of profit in 2011, or 2012 rather. And then 2013, it starts to pick up and you're like, oh, something good happened there. Well, one, I stopped traveling to many conventions because like traveling to a convention and trying to sell stuff is really hard. So shout out to all the vendors who actually are able to run a business by going to conventions, because like I couldn't make it work. When the collectible minifigures first came out, most people weren't selling just minifigures on their own. That was like a burgeoning thing. So I did that for a while at my booth. I would have my DVD, and I would have like all the series 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever collectible minifigures, and all this stuff. And then people are also like, "What is your booth? Like you've got a DVD, and then you've got random minifigures." So it wasn't like, it didn't make sense as a business. In addition to being like a lot of labor and money and not a lot of profit. So the thing that happened in 2013 is I made a spreadsheet. This spreadsheet is like the most important thing I've ever done in my business. So I mentioned before I made a how to build video, and since then I've made 200 some. Well, as soon as I made the first one, I had like a few that were like different things I'd done for the series, and then people would be like, oh, well, show me how to build this. I was like, oh, okay, well, I have that. I could show that. So I did a lot of videos in there, and then people would say, well, how about you build this thing, which was not a thing I'd ever built. It was just a request. And I was like, oh, yeah, I could build, what was one of the early things? 1953 Chevrolet Bel Air 2-door coupe. That's one thing that I've built. I don't build cars ever, but somebody asked for that, and like I had so few requests at the time, I was like, sure, I'll try it. And then people would be like, oh, well, now you need to build all these other car models. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm not getting into cars. But I started counting up all the comments I got, and I put them in a spreadsheet. And at first, I just had them in order of what I got them, and that's kind of how I did it. I was like, wait, 10 people have asked for this, and only one person has asked for that. So let me rank these in the order, and then also decide what I want to build, because now I have hundreds of requests already. So then I built Sonic the Hedgehog, because when I did the spreadsheet, he had the most votes. And now this video is one of my most popular videos of all times. It has 7.5 million views. This was before there was official Lego Sonic minifigure. It was also before there were eye tiles, 1x1 eye tiles. I have since modified this design to look prettier. He has like actual eyes now. It's in the convention hall. You can go see it. if you look at the history of my revenue over the course of my business, that red line and the inflection point in the graph was me creating a spreadsheet. So spreadsheets are cool. And if you go back and forth, this is my views on my channel as well. It's basically the same, because at that point then I cut out everything else and it was just about YouTube ads, because it started growing so much that I was getting so many views, and you get paid basically per view on YouTube. I'm not allowed to tell you how much I get paid per view. That is part of the agreement, is you can't tell that. But everyone on the internet knows it's $2 per 1,000 views. So, FYI. That's just everybody knows that's the number you can use. And there's websites you can go and estimate any YouTuber what they make. And they're all pretty close estimates. The other thing that happened was Lego Minecraft. I got a lot of requests for that before there were official sets. So there was a huge pent-up demand, so I had built a bunch of the characters at different sizes. So lots of those have millions of views. And then once I had done one thing in Lego Minecraft, I started being the top 10 search results for Lego Minecraft, because I did the other ones. Because once you do one thing, then everyone wants you to do the thing that's most adjacent to that when you get more comments. So I became this powerhouse for search on YouTube for Lego Minecraft without even realizing that was an amazing thing that I had. And then everybody else started doing Lego Minecraft stuff, and I lost that. And then I realized the good thing that I had that I had lost. Oh, and then I rebranded, because I was still being called Nightly News at 9 at that time, which was a show that I had started and hadn't done anything with in years, and didn't really relate to what I was doing. So I spent a long time brainstorming new names to think okay, most of what I do now is reviews, educational content. So I came up with this name, Brick 101, which has stuck so far. But this was my third iteration of a YouTube name. And if you look up, Lego's first YouTube channel wasn't Lego, it was DZine123. So even the big companies don't get it right the first time. So don't be afraid with your YouTube channel if it changes, or your business if it changes, to think, what is my business now, and rebrand it. I was really lucky in 2015 that Warner Brothers reached out to me and sent me the entire Scooby-Doo line before it came out to review. So this review of the Mystery Mansion is my most viewed video ever, with 19 million views. And that is because of some random gameplay video that this shows up as a related video on, and the thumbnail is good. So you all know Jangbricks, right? Yeah, okay. He reviews everything, and he gets sets before it's humanly possible, and nobody knows how, right? So I had this goal. I was one day I will review one set before Jangbricks does. It wasn't this set, but it was the Mystery Machine. I got that review out before him. I just want the record to show that it is possible to review a set before Jangbricks. Just not very easy. The other thing that happened in 2015 is a little thing called Five Nights at Freddy's. Who knows what Five Nights at Freddy's is? All right, yeah. I always watch what people ask for, and this thing called Five Nights at Freddy's was jumping up in my spreadsheet from the very bottom. It was going up. It wasn't quite at the top. I was nothing ever moves up that fast, so let me do a thing. And the other change in my graph is when Five Nights at Freddy's happened. Nobody else was really doing much Five Nights at Freddy's, and especially not talented adult builders, because talented adult builders had never heard of it. It was just a young phenomenon, but because I was listening to the children on my channel, I tapped into Five Nights at Freddy's, and all of those videos have become the main backbone of my channel. I started with custom mocks, but then a Lego competitor, cue grown, McFarlane Toys, which had never really done building sets before, got the license to Five Nights at Freddy's, and came out with this set and some others that was one of the most best-selling construction toys in 2015, even though nobody in this room cared about it. But they sent it to me early before it was on shelves, because I had tapped into the Lego Five Nights at Freddy's market. And now I am like the McFarlane Toys guru. Like I know more about, there is no brick set for McFarlane Toys because there's not a big adult fan community. So my videos are the most comprehensive listing and information about McFarlane Toys, and now they'll send me sets as prototypes to look out before they're exclusively out. Like Lego doesn't give that access to anybody, but because they're a smaller fish in a big pond compared to Lego, and I will cover their stuff, I now have exclusive access with them, and because there's an audience for it, it has become the backbone of my business, and now I will do any video, even remotely related to their products. So if you type in McFarlane Toys on YouTube, my videos rank higher than their own YouTube channel. Like that would be really hard to accomplish with Lego, but it's pretty easy with McFarlane Toys. So that second video there, so the first one is just an idea I have of what one of their future sets might be. Because like when I run out of sets to review, I'm like, well, now I got to predict future things. So I just make a mock-up. That gets hundreds of thousands of views without me trying. The video below that is just every single character they've ever released in one video. And that's the third iteration I've done of it. And those have millions and millions of views across the 3 iterations. Because again, it's like brick set, or like this information that is otherwise nowhere in one coherent source. And then kids just like to live vicariously through people like us who can have disposable income to have all of something. So I don't know what lessons I've really learned from all of this, but here's a couple things that I want to like leave you with. One is that like I just tried a lot of things, and when they stopped working, I stopped. But I always kept trying new things. Another one is that I did a great thing and went to the Service Corps of Retired Executives, which is a free service across all the United States that will help any small business with free mentoring. So I got really great mentorship through that from a business person who didn't understand YouTube, which was great because I didn't understand business, and just trying to communicate helped me understand what a business plan is and all the like underpinnings of what made it. Oh, also, I wrote a book. So this guy here, David Pagano, I met him at Brickworld Chicago 2009, and we were both trying to sell DVDs, and people would come up and say like, oh, is this instructions on how to make Lego animations? And we're like, no, it's our own original story, and it's really cool, you should buy it. And they're like, oh, okay, bye. So we decided enough people had asked that we would just make what everyone was asking for. It took us 6 years to do from when we decided to do it, because this was a side project on top of side projects on top of full-time work. But the whole idea behind this, again, is just listening to what people were asking for and then making it exist in the world. And like, I don't know if everyone in this place realizes like what an amazing community of creative people you're a part of by being in this room. But like I have been connected to so many wonderful people just by going to events like this. And like you all like have something that most people don't, in that you can like envision a thing and then make it exist. So that is like a really valuable skill in the economy and world today, and so use it. And then just another thing, I diversified my income streams last year because relying on YouTube 100% is a bad thing. So I also did a commissioned work. So this was for Argonne National Laboratory. It's a historical brick film about the first nuclear reaction. And they wanted that, and they paid me, and I made it. It doesn't have millions of views, but I got paid. I've also started branching out and commissioning designs to a couple different companies. So Brick Loot, which has thousands of subscribers who receive a box every month, pays people for designs. So I've had 2 designs in their thing. Abby Dabbles, who's a vendor who's not here because they're mostly based in the Midwest and East Coast. I've commissioned a couple designs too, so now they sell sets. And what's great is I don't have to do any of the work of sourcing all the parts, but I've been able to build partnerships with these other Lego entrepreneurs so that I can promote their products, they can sell my products, and we both win from doing that. I also license my content to places like Jam and Epic that are just looking for fun educational content, and they just pay me money for stuff that's already on YouTube, and that's the easiest money I've ever made in my life. Oh, and then I designed this Godzilla, but when I say I designed, I mean that I did like 10% of the work, and I actually hired another Lego designer to do most of the work on this. So I had known for years that my fans wanted me to do Godzilla, but it was a really intimidating build, right? Like, Godzilla is super iconic. Figuring out a scale that is like doable, but it's not like overly complicated, that people could actually build, is really hard. So I hired Mark Larson, who I met at Brickworld Chicago, because like that was where I built my entire Lego network. He does amazing work. He used to work for Legoland out here, and then Legoland Malaysia, and now he's just an independent Lego designer who does the freelance design work for other Lego businesses. And so we made this together, and it's on Lego Ideas, and you should go vote for it. And it's also downstairs. But so now I'm at the point in my business where anything that I can have somebody else do, I am. So I've actually commissioned Mr. Pagano here. He built a Kirby for me. Mark Larson has built like 5 other things for me. Kevin Hinkle, everyone's favorite, has built something for me. I have Nick Jensen on the line. And you know, I'm always looking for new talent. So that's not a job, but I do freelance. And so now I've diversified my income stream, so I'm not totally reliant on YouTube ads. So I also have book sales, contract work, and the underpants gnome is still there for fun. So now here are the questions that I get based on like what are the top comments in every single video I upload, no matter what the topic is. So one is, can you build insert noun here, which is great because like that is now what I do. That drives my business. Those requests are what I do. When is Nightly News at 9, Chapter 3? Which means, for those of you familiar with Game of Thrones, you know, George R.R. Martin is like still hasn't produced another book, and everyone hounds him. So I am now the George R.R. Martin of Lego Animation, because I have a series that is still ongoing, and I'll get to eventually. Number 3 is wait, you're gay, because as I briefly mentioned, I have a husband, and so that is still a shocking fact on the internet. And then 4 is where can I buy this? And so I think that's still a huge opportunity in the Lego community right now, is like how we turn like the amazing designs that we can all do into things that are easy to buy. And I know a lot of people have tried and failed at this. Let's see, there was the Bricklink mock shop. Sorry, Bricklink representative, if you're here. But, you know, it didn't quite work out. Mock Hub is a new one that's trying to do it. You know, what's the other mock one? Mock Nation, you know, has had some. But it's still an area we haven't quite figured out. And, you know, I still think there's opportunity there. And so those are so that was me doing any questions. But any other questions? That's it.